Hello, my name is Darcy Canfield-Riggs, and I am going to present my capstone portfolio to you. I just wanted to say that I had a lot of fun creating this portfolio. It was a great way to reflect on my education through the SLIM program at ESU. Before starting the SLIM program, I had a Bachelor's of Arts from K-State University in English Literature with a minor in Women's Studies. While I was starting this program, I was working in a middle school in Hutchinson, Kansas as a secretary. And it was after I started the program and kind of while I was working at the school that I realized I really enjoyed interacting with students and kids and teachers and their parents, so kind of everybody. And so that sort of led me to believe that I wanted to work in a public library, but it was really the interaction with the students that kind of gave me that idea that I wanted to be a children's and young adults librarian. So my goal after I graduate from the program is to start working in a library with children and young adults, and ideally it would be to work on doing programming for them. So real quick, there's just a couple photos here of my family and I, and that's another really big part of my life, aside from what I hope to do with my career. I enjoy being with my family and interacting with them, and currently I stay at home with my twins, and I enjoy kind of using some of the things I learned in my librarianship for early learners. We do some story times and finger play, and that's a lot of fun, but more about that here in a little bit. So my next part is talking about the program outcomes that I've met. I enjoyed looking back at the artifacts from all my classes and trying to find the assignments that best matched at all of these program outcomes that we were supposed to have. So the first one, Foundations of the Profession, articulate a philosophy of ethical and client-centered information services for the library and information professions, is something that graduates of the SLIM program should be able to do. And so to prove that, here I've got my ethics case newspaper. This was a project that we did in Foundations of Library and Information Science, LI880, and we did this as a group project, which you'll see from my other program outcomes. I chose a lot of projects that I did with a group, and I think that kind of speaks about my interest in teamwork and that I enjoy working with other people, other librarians. I love to bounce ideas off of other people, and that's really how I thrive in my work setting. I like getting feedback from other people and learning, kind of through their experiences too. So the ethics newspaper, we obviously just discussed ethics and the importance of that in a library. We went through the Code of Ethics through the American Library Association. My group and I had the topic of privacy, and so we kind of created a newspaper that reflected articles that had to do with privacy. So that was a lot of fun. For information resources, students from the SLIM program would be able to explain and implement the development, maintenance, and management of collections and resources to meet specific information needs. So I chose, to exemplify that, I chose this project that I did in LI855, which is Collection Development and Management. And again, it was a group project. What we did was we chose a library, which was my community's public library, and we looked at their budget, and we were supposed to create a scenario where we have a 15% budget cut and kind of what we would do and how we would facilitate that for this library. So it was kind of fun to work with a group, but also I went to the library and interviewed collection manager Ruth Hildebrandt there, and that was a really great way for me to work with other people, learn from a real information professional, but then also to kind of apply what we've been learning in this management sort of aspect, especially with dealing with the budget and choosing and weeding out what we would use in the collection and doing some research with that. So it was a really fun assignment to do too, and kind of took me out of my element that I was used to and put me in sort of a management one. So the third one, program outcome, is that we would be able to explain, use, maintain, develop systems to organize and retrieve recorded knowledge. And here is where I'm supposed to have a Prezi, where is it? Okay, my apologies. I was supposed to have a Prezi presentation there. So this is what I included here. Again, a group, well, it wasn't a group, but a partner, and I worked on this. We decided that we wanted to create, well, we were supposed to organize something, any kind of information, and present it to the class. So what we decided to do is come up with a new idea. So we decided we were going to pretend we were a restaurant and we had a digital wine list that would be delivered on like tablets that the customers could look through. And the way we wanted to organize this digital wine list was by breaking each wine down into specific fields. So it was like the producer, the country, the area it came from, what type, those kind of things. So we made a really cool presentation using Prezi, this was my first ever Prezi presentation, and I had a lot of fun learning this new technology, and I felt that this is a good example of being able to develop and organize something. So the next outcome, we are supposed to employ current and emerging technologies effectively for communication and to search for, identify, repackage, and deliver information resources. So understandably, I chose an artifact from my information technology class I took this summer, LI880. This project, another group project, we were to create a grant. The nice thing about this, though, was that it pushed us to think of an innovative technology aspect for the grant. And so my group and I decided that we wanted to do some outreach, and so like a outreach librarian would be in charge of this, and they would go to a prison and work with inmates to choose a story for a story time for their children, and then they would learn how to record themselves and use this really cool technology called one button recording, which is an app basically that they just kind of have to do like really minimal use with it, but it teaches them to record and to edit this video. So they would record this for their children, post it to YouTube, but of course we had some stipulations about the privacy of that too. So it's all in the proposal, but the children then would be able to view this story time on an iPad in their own home, so they would get to see their incarcerated parent and have that interaction, and it promotes not only digital literacy, technology, but early literacy for children as well. The next outcome is reference and user services. The SLIM graduate would be able to retrieve, evaluate, and synthesize information resources to fulfill an information needs assessment, evaluate the usefulness of these resources to the user. This was probably one of my most favorite assignments. It was to create a subject guide, and this was in LI802 Information Seeking Behavior and User-Centered Services. So and I used my knowledge that we had learned in that class about doing needs assessments and working with patrons and information seekers to create a subject guide. Mine is modeled after an academic library. I took this idea from a class that I took at K-State University called Women in Pop Culture. So the resources and the databases and the other items on the subject guide are kind of in relation to this course, but I modified it to use Emporia State items that were actually in the Emporia State University Library. So again, this was one of my favorite, and one thing that I'm really proud of, because it was, again, another technology aspect I had never used before, which was Weebly, and I've since used it again, and I really like it. Okay, the sixth artifact, research. I used my literature review as my best artifact for this, mainly because I'd never written a literature review, and the amount of research that I had to do, not only about the literature review itself, but then of course the information I had in mine. There was a lot of reading, a lot of searching, and organizing information, which is, I got this artifact from my LI880 Organization of Information class. So this was a really new challenge academically for me, so I'm really proud of this one, and that's why I wanted to use that for my research artifact. The seventh outcome I met was to demonstrate a commitment to lifelong learning by participating in professional development activities and disseminating new information to colleagues and patrons. This artifact again came from LI880 Information Technology, and we were to come up with a learning plan that we had for ourselves. We had to identify our own need for learning and a technology aspect. And for me, I didn't really know a lot about coding, and so I decided to use that as my personal learning plan. So I took a course on Code Academy and did a log with that, and then I, of course, kind of did a reflection on that as well. So for the last outcome that I've met, aid in effective and appropriate change in library information service through collaboration, communication, and collegiality. I use my strategic plan from management and information organizations. Again, this was a group project. I really loved working with this group, but this obviously a strategic plan is something that an organization, information organization, will use all the time. So it was really beneficial for me to learn how to do this. And I enjoyed researching libraries and kind of seeing what other, we chose an academic library. We kind of based it off KU. So we enjoyed learning academic libraries, strategic plans, and kind of modeled it after those. But again, this was a really beneficial project for me, especially for that management aspect. Professional values. Service, I used an interview report that I did during my LI802 class. I interviewed someone that was doing information seeking, and I thought that that met that really well, because I was working with a person who would essentially be coming to me for information if I were in a library. Leadership, I chose my managerial strengths profile from LI805 because it shows all of the aspects that would make me a good leader. So obviously that one matches pretty well. Integrity, I linked back to my outcome 1 artifact, the ethics newspaper, because I thought that those what we talked about in the newspaper kind of matches the ethics that we talked about in the class, so I thought that that was best to just link back to that one. And mentorship, I chose my instruction assignment from LI815. I taught someone how to use new technology for them, which was using Instagram, so I taught them that. Other parts of my portfolio I was really proud of. I did a section about my work in librarianship for children and young adults, which showcases all of my projects that I did for my concentration classes, which were resources and services for early learners, children, young adults, and then designing and implementing programs for children and young adults. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of what those look like. So I've got several documents in these areas too. Thank you for taking the time to look through my portfolio, and I hope that you find it informational. Thank you.